I can convince them, I can make a case, and they will act on it. That does not mean why they are attacking you or acting on it, that God cannot give instruction and they will back down. Immediately you have an issue with me, that time those patrol men are matching you, pressing you, immediately that radio comes that Tinubu has given instruction for me to be dealt with. Those people that are called to deal with you will leave you and deal with me, because there has been a higher authority, there has been a higher proclamation that you should be spared, and I in turn should be dealt with. That is what happens. That sometimes you see some traditional people like us, or see some people, after they have dealt with you with their spirits, when after they must have summoned some spirit that you consider demonic to deal with you, God may intervene in your matter and say, no, I have done wrong, I have used injustice to attack you. God will now maybe try to save you and then fight me. God will now make a proclamation, say, I will suffer, my children will suffer. God may lay a curse on me because of that action, but I have the freedom to act. That is what God did not take away from any human. He still didn't take it away from all those who are subordinate to him. But because the spirit we use, sometimes we may use them for some things that may be violent. People will not consider, we feel like, oh, God cannot be this violent, therefore this is not of God. It doesn't mean that it's not of God. If you read your Isaiah chapter 45 from verse 5, read it down. He said, I'm the God that doeth all things. God was speaking in your Christian Bible. He said, I bring peace and I bring disaster. I give life and I cause death. He mentioned all sorts of things you consider evil. God in that verse said, I do all this. If God cannot inflict harm, it means God is not God. God must have the ability to bless and to curse. That is what gives you the projection of power. You cannot claim to be powerful. You can never claim to be powerful, yet you don't have the power to do the right thing and the power to inflict pain. You must have that same power. The same way a soldier, a police officer is instructed to protect you and has the power to protect you, the same way they have the power to take their rifle and take your life. That is what makes it power. So that you see somebody being inflicted with pain, you see a spirit inflicting pain on somebody, doesn't mean that spirit is no longer of God. If the story of Job, as it was captured in the Bible, was not clearly stated from all angles, if you were not, let's just imagine you were Job's neighbor, and that those things were happening to Job according to the Bible story. Whether it happened or not is not what I'm here to discuss. Now imagine you were Job's neighbor, and that had happened to Job, without you being told to the conversation, the interaction that happened in heaven between Lucifer and God. How would you have known that it was God that sent Lucifer to mess up Job? Imagine killing the children of a rich man, dying in a single day. If it is this present dispensation, you would have either accused Job of being a ritualist, whose words came from an ill-gotten, immalad way, that God has taken it back, or you will accuse the devil of being responsible, because Job, according to the Bible story, was a good man, a righteous man who feared God. So imagine that you're that G.O., who you know that is a honest and truthful man, a good man. One day he wakes up, all his children die in plane crash. His family has burned down. Definitely while it's burning down, some people will die. The same way it happened in the Bible according to the story. Now, imagine this thing happening the same way it happened to Job. Who would you have blamed? Knowing that this man is a righteous man, wouldn't you blame devil? Wouldn't you blame or call the spirit that orchestrated such thing demon? Now, what happened in that Bible? It was later discovered that it was God who sent Lucifer to do that. Now, Lucifer did that. Lucifer is not the one considered to be the evil one, but who gave the instruction? It was God. It was God. Does it mean that Lucifer was acting outside the authority of God? It was actually acting under the authority of God. The same way I can raise Ogugu to come to your family and wreak havoc. It doesn't still mean Ogugu is now of Satan. Yeah, Ogugu is no longer of God. Ogugu still remains under the authority of God. The only thing is that I have given instruction based on my authority as also the son of God. The same way Seyi Tinubu can get you arrested without telling the father. Because he's the son of Tinubu, authorities will listen to Seyi Tinubu. If Seyi Tinubu calls the CP of Lagos to arrest you, my brother, my sister, you are going in. You will get your freedom through court. And that court is adjudication met under the authority of Tinubu. Because he's the grand commander. That is why that even after Seyi Tinubu may have arrested you, you can appeal the case, you can go to court and seek justice. And the system will review it, the law will review it, which is just like you making recourse to God and say, no, it's unjust. Even Seyi Tinubu should be punished or should pay you compensation. The same thing happens in the spiritual realm. This is the reason why many people consider this spirit demonic, because they act quickly. Why are they acting quickly? Because we are closer to them. We the traditionalists, we operate closer to them. Imagine you building contact in Abuja, whereas you operate in Imo State, and you refuse to build contact with the elements, the police forces, the soldiers in Imo State. When you have issue and call Abuja, you have called the higher authority, but the response is going to be slow, because there is chain of authority, chain of communication. That is why traditionalists, they try to maintain the balance. They build this communication, they build this relationship with God, and then build good relationship with the elements, the forces that are under the authority of God, that oppress within their region, oppress in their family, oppress in their life, which we call chi. a guardian spirit, just like you having an escort. Imagine the president giving you an escort, giving you some escort, and some of the escorts you go and pay to get them. The same way we go, we buy goods, we buy this, we buy some things to invite some deities and put them in our family. That's the same way you go to Nigeria Civil Defense, go to Nigeria Police, apply for escort. They give you. The way you treat those escorts sometimes will determine the way they will respond in your matter. Imagine getting 4 escorts, and every day you ignore them, you don't give them food, you don't give them water. Every time you keep treating them badly. When you get in trouble, the likelihood of them leaving you and running is high. Very, very high. They may disappoint you. You may realize that by the time they hear a gunshot, they will leave you in the forefront to die because you have not been treating them well. That does not mean they are not tasked with protecting you. This thing happens. Let's get to another point that makes people consider this spirit as being demonic. That is name difference. Now, imagine you as a Christian. When you run into trouble, when you want to call any spirit you consider to be under the authority of God, what comes to your mind is Angel Michael. Because you have a story in the Bible where God sent Angel Michael to rescue Angel Gabriel. That means you believe yourself as a Christian, as a Muslim, that there are forces beneath God that you can invoke. The only problem we have in African tradition and this new modern or this Western religion is that there is language problem. Now you're calling it Angel Michael. You're expecting an Igbo man who doesn't speak English to call this spirit Angel Michael. Angel Michael, I may not know the origin of that name, but it's more English than Igbo. And God made available more than 1,000 languages on earth. And you don't assume that the same way you describe an element or an object created by God under the authority of God is the same way another person will do. You cannot. Let me give you a good example. We have one sun. We all know that. Every other planet revolves around sun. You as a Western person or as an English speaking person, you call it sun. In Igbo, as an Igbo man, we call it Anyang. Other regions have things they call sun in their own language. Does it mean because you call it sun and I call it Anyang, it's no longer the same thing? That means one thing can answer different names and still remain what it is. Angel Michael can answer Amadua and still remain the same spirit. Your Angel Michael can answer whatever in a different language and still remain the same thing. And the way you approach it, the way you interact with it must not be the same. So because people feel that we have a way of interacting with this spirit, we offer libation, we care ram, we do these things, it means it's not the proper way. No. That you go to a police officer and give cash and I come and give fruit, give food items as a gift, doesn't mean we're not doing the same thing. You are approaching the police with cash. Some other person is approaching the police officer with a transfer to entice to build a relationship. Myself, I'm bringing food, bringing goods as gift. We are doing the same thing. We are approaching the same person. That you are calling it son and I'm calling it Anyang. We are still referring to the same thing. The same heavenly body, the same celestial body. The same way we have difference in terms of names. So you see people, they consider these spirits evil because you see me call it Okuku. You see me call it Abishi. Now, when you look at their functions, what they do, you see Angel Michael carrying sword. Sword is not used for cutting onion. It's used for fighting. It's used for war, engaging in war. Somebody with a sword can kill. Then you see me calling Amadua, which is the patron deity for the defenseless people, the god of thunder. You see me calling that Amadua with an axe or a hatchet. Now, it's still for fighting. But you consider Amadua evil and consider Angel Michael holy simply because Angel Michael is answering an English name, Angel Michael, and I'm calling it Amadua. That means you feel that they're not the same. Simply because yours is answering a pushed name in your own, low self-esteem, thinking. Because you're calling it in a different person's language. So what is the name of Amadua in your own language? You don't know. So if I don't call it Amadua, if I don't call it Angel Michael, Angel Gabriel, it's no longer valid. That means if I don't call son, it means it's no longer valid. That means I cannot call son Anyang. I don't want to prolong this, but these are some of the reasons, myopic reasons at this point I will call it, why people consider these forces, these spirits in Igbo and African tradition as demonic. This is basically as a result of ignorance and lack of understanding of how the spiritual realm works. And sometimes people actually know, but for selfish reasons, they want to get you to believe they are demonic because once they allow you to understand the truth, their business collapse. Because most people's business empires thrive on these false misconceptions. Because they want to leave you praying, fighting as if you're fighting against this spirit, as if you have a battle. Come and buy handkerchief for 1 million. Come and buy olive oil. Because if they tell you the truth, their business empire collapses. So they have to keep you on track. They have to keep you thinking that you're in battle. They have to keep you thinking that there's something around your family that want to kill you, that want to mess up your life. So about to read that mana atọlọ mara ya mana atọlọ feke efegation ọhịa ihe nji wuru oyibo na-akọwa ya maka na enwere ilu ka oke ọ dara ahụ feke agbara kalama onye ngeji nwere oyibo nkwu taa onye na-ahụ aghọta oyibo ya gwa onye igbo ya tapịala ya ọ gwara ngwa ha mnụlọ mazi ji na na-akọrọ gị agadamahụ achị mmele gị ka ọ wuru eziokwu nkwucha ya gị ga-amụ ya ọ na-echọpụ jochi na eselite ọ gwara ngwa ha n'elu ụbọchị mmanụ niile mma